I'm once again seeing extremely devious, shady behavior that's similar to the kinds of things I've encountered before in the past, but it's escalating even worse now, and I can see even more clearly how silence about, or a more personal approach towards, addressing certain topics from me is something people are definitely attempting to warp extremely badly behind the scenes to try to seriously misrepresent the reality of my life as something very different than what it really is. Since this is very much absolutely, completely against my consent and not something I have any kind of agreements with anyone to at all have to tolerate, I can tell once again that there must be literally criminal activity scumbags are clearly engaged in that is very much intentionally trying to stir chaos and confusion in and about my life. I'm absolutely thoroughly unwilling to entertain it. It was literally only hurting me in multiple ways, increasingly badly, constantly as time has passed, and been holding me back from not just any notion of any kind of healthy connection with anyone ever, but also being much more productive in my professional endeavors, and at times even just taking care of myself in general. It has been, and still is, extremely brutal, the extremely negative impact these actual criminals are having on my life. I never wanted, needed, enjoyed, or deserved this, and I'm not trying to get stuck in this extremely deeply disturbing and hopeless place these pieces of garbage clearly want me stuck in until it literally completely destroys me. I've already talked at length about how they're seriously trying to destroy my life with extremely slanderous lies and literally criminal impersonation of me, so I don't have very much to say for this one. But I do have some things to say, and I do feel they're very important to make sure I've addressed properly so they don't end up being a problem for me later. I'm really not trying to fuel extremely toxic pieces of garbage to continue their severe abuse of my existence, but they go well out of their ways to try to come up with ways, even if I'm doing the most to prevent them from being able to. And like I said, I'm not going to just ignore that garbage when that's exactly what they're trying to get me to do so they can destroy my life with lies. I'm fighting so hard for a reason. Even if I don't get what I want and deserve, I'm never letting my life be walked all over and controlled, so literally my worst, extremely serious actual enemies operating completely against me in literally every single way can benefit at my expense against my consent. Because that's seriously what these trash people are trying to do to me, and it's seriously not okay. At all. While I won't let myself get provoked into becoming increasingly agitated, constantly repeating myself on the same things, I'm also not trying to wait around for people to repeatedly try the same kind of garbage tricks and deceitful behaviors they've done over the years, misrepresenting my life as they try to take my silence on certain things as some kind of validation and then later act like I didn't care or some garbage to try to validate their false narratives about me. They're literally trying to ruin my life and screw me over badly by attempting to present as if they know me or are my friends or some kind of love interest or something when they're very much not. The first serious thing I noticed shortly after my last release was some of Kimmy's associates attempting to abuse the black and red color scheme in certain ways, along with devious implications about fabricated behind-the-scenes context to clearly try to get my attention and provoke a reaction out of me that directly addresses what they're doing. I'm just going to address this once, because I'm not going to show evidence here, because that's exactly what these scumbags doing this garbage are hoping for. Me caring too much about defending myself from a vague, perceived threat by them, to the point I feel compelled to bring explicit attention to what they're doing as evidence, which they obviously plan to warp things to make it seem like, in reality, it's more than that. which they obviously then intend on abusing their perceived credibility with their audience to exploit their power against me with. What these idiots don't realize is that while they might have successfully ruined other people's lives doing abusive garbage like this, I'm really not like other people. And they really clearly seem to want to learn the hardest way possible that this stupid trash isn't going to work on someone like me. While I'm very much intentionally, meticulously addressing what Kimmy does to the furthest extent it makes any real sense, and revealing further the reality of my life in the process, I'm very well aware that it shows my interest in her and her content, that I even care to notice it and pay attention and basically respond or react clearly somehow. It brings significance of her existence into my life and energy, which is okay with me because she definitely is and will forever be extremely significant to me, regardless of how she feels about me. But that means doing similarly with the content of others, especially with the way things are, would in a way be achieving some kind of similar effect, whether or not that's intentional by me or desirable to me, which ruins the whole point I've been saying I've been doing this, because it massively puts into question what I'm really trying to do. Which then also means, at least to any reasonably intelligent individual, that people trying to basically force me to make content about them definitely have some kind of ulterior motives around trying so hard to provoke anger and fear and insecurity in me and make me feel some kind of sense of urgency or need to discuss or address specifically whatever content they put out with some kind of devious implications in regards to my existence. And considering these people literally are my worst enemies, those ulterior motives obviously aren't going to be with good intentions towards me. So basically, it's a trap. One these idiots clearly believe they cleverly disguised or trapped me into having to fall into. And it's especially carefully crafted to make me look especially delusional and unhinged and just crazy the more I'd try to deal with it, if I took it any further than something like this release, just addressing it once for what it is, very effectively, and then just leaving it at that and letting the truth prove itself for what it is more and more clearly every passing day. Even if we look at these narcissist psychopaths as far better human beings than they really have proven themselves to be, and we were to assume this isn't a trap, and it's genuinely a reflection of feelings people have and their genuine deep desire to get attention or affection from me for supposedly the right reasons. Like I said, I'm not interested, and I really don't have to and won't feel bad for any of these people regardless after how they've treated me. If I don't get the kind of connection I want and deserve with Kimmy, I've seriously permanently lost all faith in humanity, and I seriously have unconditionally, absolutely zero desire or willingness to pursue or tolerate even just friendship, much less romantic relations with anyone. Nobody objectively had any good reason to believe otherwise, ever. If anyone thought they did, they were being manipulated, and not by someone operating at all with my consent or cooperation. It's not my fault whoever might have been manipulated literally didn't give the slightest damn to ever directly communicate with me and actually seriously try to determine the truth. The reality becomes that anyone that might have been manipulated must have known it's pretty much certain they're being manipulated by others. They intentionally refused to directly communicate with me, because they were trying to extremely deviously justify their extreme malice towards me by desperately trying to reach for plausible deniability they warp badly to try to justify in all kinds of flimsy ways they try to reinforce through further abuse towards me in their continued existential assaults. Further, this reveals their behavior now is blatantly disingenuous abuse regardless, at the very least to the extent of being extremely neglectful and disrespectful to the words extremely clearly being spoken by me publicly in this podcast in absolutely no uncertain terms. If you don't respect me when I go to such great lengths to demonstrate I seriously will never want or tolerate being with anyone except Kimmy, then that means that no matter how much you supposedly love or care about me, you don't even care enough to respect my feelings at all. So you don't really love or care about me at all. You only love or care about manipulating me and taking advantage of my existence by claiming you've ever done or felt anything good towards me and trying to feed off the drama of me exposing the truth while you try to continually cover up your lies with more lies and benefit at my expense and make it seem like I'm enjoying it or benefiting from it somehow while I'm in reality not whatsoever. To the people doing this, stop hallucinating that I don't see what you're trying to do to me or that me seeing it doesn't matter. You're only going to end up hurting yourself and those around you more the more you try. You can't say I didn't warn you. I'm not going to fall in love with you or start liking you either way, no matter how much you hurt yourself or those around you trying to gain my favor. You're just being a massive idiot and extremely toxic. Being confident or meticulous about your extreme delusions and projecting your own negative qualities onto me with your deluded, arrogant confidence doesn't make what you're doing valid or good, no matter how much confidence or calculation or whatever else you think you have or are showing. You're seriously not being cute or sexy or romantic to me. At all. You're just being gross and annoying and hurtful. Anyways, I really don't feel the need to go on and on about that. People trying to abuse my podcast's color scheme to provoke me giving them attention are not doing it with my consent or as part of any agreement I have with them. People acting like I have to or should care if my position hurts them in some way are full of themselves and will never change my position. Anyone at all communicating otherwise is not me or operating at all with my consent or in my best interests. I've now went well out of my way to make this abundantly clear. Something else very strange I want to mention is random women messaging me on Instagram now. It's really crazy to me how disgustingly grossly in denial people really are of the truth. Like, seriously delusional. I can literally be providing such immense context and evidence and stating the reality of things so abundantly, extremely clearly, in absolutely no uncertain terms in the slightest whatsoever, and yet people blatantly ignore this. I really don't care who you are, or what you look like, or where you live, or what your hobbies or interests are, or what kind of connections you have, or what money you have, or anything. I don't care. Understand this extremely well. I mean what I say. It's seriously not reverse psychology or playing hard to get or some weird concealed desperation. It's really not. Anyone at all trying to lead you to believe otherwise is blatantly lying to you, fully knowingly and intentionally, against my best interests, wishes, and consent. I'm literally saying this extremely clearly in absolutely no uncertain terms. Are you Kimmy? No? Okay then, you should already know how I feel about you. No, I don't want to watch streams or movies or TV shows with you. No, I don't want to play games with you. No, I don't want to meet you. No, I don't want to talk or get to know you. I don't. I really don't. Look at what I'm saying officially on my podcast. I mean it. If I say it's Kimmy or nobody for me, it's Kimmy or nobody for me. End of discussion. It's not up for negotiation. At all. Ever. It never was and it never will be. Again, anyone at all leading you to believe otherwise is manipulating you. Don't be an idiot. You are wasting your time and embarrassing yourself. I won't even entertain responding to you. I'll just ignore you. You can't say I didn't warn you. I'm really going well out of my way to make sure the reality of my life is abundantly clear. Kimmy must know that, even now, if she were to turn around and decide to start directly communicating with me and being genuinely loving and affectionate and pursuing the life partnership she should be with me, I wouldn't be able to just turn my back on her. My feelings for her are obviously way too strong. Even though she's really approaching the point where it's absolutely unquestionable that there's literally no circumstance ever that could possibly justify the way she's treating me or possibly ever work out to have things head in a positive direction, maybe it's not quite there yet. She's out here talking about she feels ugly and dumb, but I'm literally telling her in front of the whole world that I'm touching myself to her for hours every day, and I've proven we'd have a magical relationship way better than she's ever had with anyone else if she just embraced it properly. She clearly shouldn't feel ugly at all, and it's her fault she's feeling dumb. She's very much being dumb. Extremely stupid. She's choosing to start flirting with and being intimate with some random idiot that hasn't done even a fraction of what I've done for her and never will. Someone that will never make her feel how I can. She could have just chosen to put her ego aside for once and embrace my love in a healthy way so I don't have to absolutely unconditionally totally destroy her life in every way at any cost, no matter how long it takes or how hard it is. But she chose violence instead. And no matter how much I wish and dream and fantasize that she'd seriously change her mind before it's really too late, it really seems, much to my dismay, that she won't. Still, like I said, I mean what I'm saying. If that's really how things are, then the extremely dark path it is. My feelings and position never change regardless. Which means this garbage she's recently posted on Instagram, the whole this or that, get to know me, I can't just let it slide. I'm talking about this. She's posted something like this before as well. I didn't really understand what was happening before and why she did it back then, but with everything that I've been seeing more recently, I'm starting to understand the devious plotting behind it rather clearly now. So I have a clear statement to make in response to seeing it. I'm not being held back somehow by any kind of insecurity or needing to know anyone's preferences on any kind of topic. They aren't going to influence my preferences and they won't ever change my position. It doesn't matter who it is. I haven't cared to pay attention very closely to others, so I've probably missed it if it happened again recently. But I definitely noticed others were also doing it in the past, around the same time Kimmy did it, and they probably have also been doing this kind of thing again, this time too, as if I ever cared. Let this be me, publicly, extremely clearly stating in absolutely no uncertain terms that I don't, never did, and never will. It only makes sense to believe that these answers aren't even necessarily Kimmy's honest answers, but more so what specifically crafted answers she's giving to try to validate narratives being formed behind my back that operate against me, and trying to twist any kind of reaction I give into some kind of validation for the toxicity, abuse, and lies that she's trying to force validation for to justify how she's hurting me and trying to cover up everything she's done and is still doing to me. Even if we assume they're all her honest answers, none of these hold any particular significance or meaning to me to know. None of these answers would suddenly be some kind of deal breaker for me, regardless of whether Kimmy's answer was preferring one or the other or both super equally. Not to mention that her answers for things could change over time, especially considering how inconsistent and indecisive she tends to be in general. To me, they're all just random things that she for some strange reason felt compelled to share her supposed preferences regarding shortly after my last release. It comes off to me as if there's narrative working happening behind the scenes that's attempting to misrepresent what I'm doing as pushing her away because of some kind of supposed issue I have with at least some of the answers she gave. It's very simple at the end of the day. I'm being extremely honest in this podcast. My life is in the condition I've been saying it's in, and my feelings are what I've been saying they are. Although I know I shouldn't expect it to happen, I will forever wish Kimmy had reached out to me and started making things right and pursuing a warm, loving, intimate life partnership with me before it's really too late, instead of choosing to become the worst of enemies and have me brutally, unconditionally, absolutely destroy her life, literally no matter what the cost would ever be to me. Anyways, I have work to do to follow through on my threats, because this world is a reeking dumpster fire, and I've seriously had it with humanity. I just wanted to make sure it's abundantly clear that I very much care and have always cared and will always care to make sure nobody can ever misrepresent my feelings for Kimmy and the reality of what I've been through because of her.